As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, Matt Adams here with you, delighted and excited to have the company of Linn Grant. This past weekend, she won the Annika, driven by Gamebridge at the Pelican, that for her second win on the LPGA Tour. She, who hails from Sweden, to win this event, think about that, with Annika Sorenstam's namesake on it, no doubt will be a special one. I'm going to talk to her about it in just a second. Her list of accolades for Linn are stout. Prodigy, I realize that's a strong word, a strong label, but her background was anything else, I can't find it. I mean, you be the judge. Her grandfather and father both played professionally, so the pedigree was already there, and she showed as much at an early age. As an amateur, she won the Ladies British Am, the German Girls Open, the Scottish Women's Open, and she was an All-American at Arizona State. In fact, she was so good in 2020 over the summer break at ASU, she played on the Nordic Golf Tour and won enough events to win their Order of Merit. Let that simmer. Consider this. She turns pro in 2021, and she immediately starts racking up victories again. In 2022, she won 3 times. On the Sunshine Ladies Tour, she won their Order of Merit. She won 4 times on the Ladies European Tour en route to winning the LET's Order of Merit, Rookie of the Year, and Player of the Year. She makes her way to the LPGA Tour in 23, and again, she immediately wins, collecting her first LPGA victory at the Dana Open. She's since amassed 18 top 10s, along with her second win this weekend, all in just a couple of years, barely 60 starts on the LPGA Tour. Oh, and yeah, she represented Europe twice already at the Solheim Cup in 23 and 24, and consider the fact that with all this success, she's still young. She is only 26 years old. Pleasure to welcome Linn Grant once again to the Fairways of Life show. Linn, how you feeling now with 24, 36 hours, whatever it is, since your victory, reflected the fact that not only did you win for a second time, you win an event of this stature, and it happens to have the name of Annika Sorenstam attached?
I mean, right now I'm just very relieved. As you know, like, my season has been very up and down, quite a roller coaster. I've had a couple of sessions with miscuts, and for a while there, I thought maybe this wasn't what it was supposed to be. But I'm just very happy. I'm very, relieved. I feel a bit confident going into this week's event, and very ready to just play this week and have a good week and then put the clubs on a shelf for a while. But yeah, obviously really stoked to win Annika's event too. We were talking about it on the Sunday, how many of the junior events I played, and also winning the Scandinavian mix twice, which was in her name. We have some history together for sure.
When you've had that level of success as a junior golfer and early on in your professional career, does that place additional pressure on you? Does that change the level of expectations that you have?
I guess from my point of view, it does. I mean, I've always felt that obviously everyone does know what we're capable of. I mean, I've had, as you said, a couple wins in my luggage, and just kind of to feel semi-comfortable going into a Sunday and being in contention and have the opportunity to win. I feel like the more times you get to do that, the more comfortable you become. So I feel like that's sort of a small strength.
Do you think then to have a win of the stature that you just had, is that a new threshold for you? Does that give you the confidence to bear through? You mentioned, this kind of up and down at times, and that's, many ways that's life as a touring professional. But could a win of this stature give you the confidence you think to continue to break through at higher and higher levels?
I hope so. I mean, what feels good is that even if, now I sound like I've been playing terrible this year, which I haven't.
No.
But it's just, it feels nice to think that even when you feel like you don't have maybe your A game, you can still have a week where everything just falls into place, and and then it's there again. So it for sure made this season have some sparkle to it, even though it didn't have that a week ago.
Are you going to get home for the? You mentioned kind of taking a break after this week and being able to, put the clubs aside and refresh yourself. But will you have a chance to get home, or are you based in the USA now? How is that in terms of life balance?
No, I don't have a base at all in the US, so I go back and forth from Sweden during the season as well. So after this week on Monday, we go home, and I'm home for sure all of December, and then we'll see how January goes, where we'll go and practice because Sweden is obviously too cold.
Yeah, my wife is Swedish, so I'm somewhat familiar with some of the customs and the food, like knäckebröd and things like that. So when you're over here and you're playing in earnest on the LPGA or traveling the world playing for the LPGA, what kind of pulls at the heartstrings for you? What do you miss about back home in Sweden?
Oh, I miss being able to walk everywhere. That's probably the one I miss the most. Like you go out if you need to grocery shop, like I can walk there, or bike, or like everything is so much closer. I feel like over here, someone says something is like 4 hours away. That is so far in Sweden. But over here it's like, oh, it's really close, you know. So just the fact that you can walk everywhere and you don't have to take your car, it's way more, yeah, I just like that more, I guess.
Obviously, with your dad and your grandfather, you had a chance to be introduced to the game of golf. Do you remember your earliest kind of memories of golf, and how was it that you became smitten with it yourself and it ended up being your life's vocation?
I think my first couple memories of golf is just like watching my dad hit balls on the range. He was always going out to practice, and he lured me with him with um, saying that I get to have ice cream when he's done and stuff like this. But I always remember I would do putting contests with his buddies out at our course, always for ice cream. Or I would go in the buggy when he played. That was probably the most fun I had growing up on a golf course. Um, so I think what made me stick to golf was that I gained a lot of friends out in on the golf course in my own age, and we had a lot of tournaments together during the summers, and then I was really competitive, so I really like to just have goals of beating them, and especially beating the boys.
Very, very cool. So I've made note of the fact that if we ever need anything from Lynn, ice cream is the motivator that we need to employ to make sure that she abides. What's by the way, what is your favorite ice cream? Since we're down this path, we might as well finish it.
Either coconut or mint, a mint
Coconut?
chocolate.
Really? That's I
Yes, oh, coconut ice cream is so good.
put that down, Andrew. Put that on our notebook of the same. The season that you've had, and I do want to talk to you about it because it's not just you, it's everybody in the game of golf. We've got the PGA Tour wrapping up this week. You've got players trying to fight their way inside of the top 100 to keep their card at the RSM Classic and more. You've got you guys with the CME Globe, etc. What is it like as a professional athlete after you've been grinding it out all year? Because everybody sees the trappings of it. They see, oh, I'd love to be a professional golfer. It's got to be the greatest job in the world. But how much of a toll does it take upon you emotionally, physically, and in terms of injuries?
I mean, I'd say I've been really lucky this year, or not lucky. I mean, even though I haven't played the way I wanted to, I've been sitting in a good spot when it comes to rankings and all this stuff. I haven't had to worry about, missing out on my card or not making it this week really. Um, but and I think, I mean, sitting in that position, like I have friends who obviously had last week to kind of try to make it into this week, and I mean, it's so tough because I think that part is even harder. I mean, the times I've missed cuts by a stroke this year, it's almost like um that kind of nervous is worse than obviously having a putt for the win, but it's like the same height of it. It just it drains you. So let's say you play like 36 holes, you missed the cut by one, you battled your heart out on the Friday, and you don't make it, like you're so drained, even though you've only played 36 holes.
Do you find, Linn, that you learn more about yourself as a competitor through the hard times or through times of glory like you just experienced?
I think it's both. I think it's you learn different things. This year, like I've just felt like I've had to change a couple of things in what I do, and why. Like I've had to look into my whys. Like why am I here? Why do I do this? Why do I think this is good for me? Why do I work out this way? Why do I eat this way? Um, just to find like, because to me golf sometimes isn't like the biggest motivator, and so and then having golf as like my only why at the minute. um it's it's important to me to find things that are bigger and more important, and that would be like my mental health and how I'm feeling, am I happy, um so I've really had to sit down and ask myself like what makes me happy and what grows my purpose.
Okay, so let's go down that road for a second then. Linn Grant, what is your why?
My why has always been, and I had to strengthen it a little bit more this year, but um, my why is that golf gives me so much opportunity. Um, if it's right now in terms of the people I meet, the companies I get to work with, or if it's when I'm done, the doors it will open for me with whatever I would like to do when I'm done with golf. Um, the opportunity I will have with a future family, financially, all those things that somewhat is for the future and is bigger than just being here and playing golf at this
Mhm.
minute.
So when you mentioned asking yourself the question, am I happy? And I got the sense that it was a much broader net that you were casting there than simply a particular time and place. That was, again, my interpretation was that was about life balance. That was about the path that you have chosen. That's about what you do inside and outside the ropes. How would you answer that then? What was the answer, if I may, that you came up with when you asked yourself the question, am I happy?
I think I think for me, like playing out here, there are a lot of things you do or I started doing just because everyone else does them. Not necessarily because I believe they're the best thing to do for me.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, like, I've always been the person and the player who's been like, I'm just gonna do me. Like, I'm just gonna do what makes me happy, what works for me, and that's it. And even if I was that strong-minded, um, it still like creeps up on you. It can be just practice things, but it could also be things you start telling yourself that one thing, for example, like I remember my first year on tour, there were so many interviews where I heard people say, it's so hard to win on the LPGA. And it was constantly like, it's so hard to win. It's so hard to win on the LPGA. And then after a while, after listening to some of these interviews, all you hear is that it's so hard to win. So then you tell yourself that whenever you're in the position to maybe win, it's going to be so tough. It's going to be so hard. It's going to, and it is hard, but if you tell yourself it is, then it's just going to be even harder. So um, I think just kind of going back to myself and, what I believe in, what I believe I can do, and again, why I do it. Has been really important and kind of looking over my whole setup with everything, my travel, workout, practice, people I hang out with, and what I look at on Instagram, like all those things.
You mentioned mental health. Is in your view and in your niche of the same, is the recognition of the importance of mental health amongst professional athletes? You already represent an elite segment of the world, really. But is it important to recognize that mental health affects everybody?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for sure in very different ways, and I think it's always, um, I mean, you can never tell someone else what their truth is, you know?
Hmm.
Something that's really tough for you might feel easier for me and vice versa, you know? Um, but I feel like we all, like, my reality will always be my only truth, and what's tough for me is tough for me, you know? Um, and regardless of what it is, if, you know, sometimes I think being an athlete, you always live in this bubble that you're overprivileged, you know, to be doing something you love and you don't have an 8 to 5 in a way, and all these things. So I think walking around always feeling like, oh, I should be always be so privileged to be here, which we are, but having that feeling of never being able to tell someone that I don't really feel happy with this, so I don't really like this. I think that kind of puts you in an odd situation with yourself and your own thoughts sometimes.
Yeah. You also mentioned you needed to make a couple of changes this past year. If I may, can I ask you about what those changes were that you made? And I presume you're talking about your game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more, um, it was more what goes around the game.
Hmm.
I started working more looking into my stats earlier this season, and which I'm really happy I did because the program I'm in now is really good. But I've never been a stats person. But I started like after every round, I checked what my stats were and how they compared to everyone else. And um, if I walked off the course and I felt really happy with my game, sometimes the stats would just punch me in the face and say, "You didn't play well today." And for a while there, for a couple months, I just felt like it didn't matter what I did because it was always going to be worse than someone else. Um, and I told my team that I don't think this stats thing is for me, you know, to look at it every day and kind of remind myself of what I have to do. I've always been like a field player, sort of, to just go off what I feel I need to do in combination with, you know, talking to my coach, and he's obviously looking at stats and knowing, but not having a direct look at what I'm actually bad at or what wasn't good last week and stuff like that. So that was a big one for me, just changing my view on, like, not comparing myself too much with everyone else, just
Hmm.
doing me. And then from that point, that kind of sparked to go out on everything else. Like, what is it that I do with everything else that I just do because someone else does it?
Linn, I've never spoken to you before, and it's an honor to have your company today, especially in the wake of winning at the Annika. But the vibe you give off is very chill, very much like you're at peace within your world. How would you describe yourself then as an athlete? I suspect the answer based on what you said, but more tactician or more artist?
More artist, I'd say. But I mean, I'm a little bit of a mix. I still like numbers, and I still like being technical, and I like to have my periods of where I get really motivated on working on something that is technical or stuff like that. But um, overall, in my, like, week to week playing on tour, I feel like for me, just sticking to like a feeling and being really easygoing with my technique. Like, I'm pretty much set up with everything that I have. Like, I have my drills that I know that I should be doing if
Hmm.
things fall off a little bit. So um, I just try to keep golf very simple. Um, yeah.
Does it inspire you, Linn, to know that you can be inspiration for young women as a female professional athlete on the stages, the world's grandest stage for golf?
Yeah, it does. I think for every year, like I get a little older, obviously. And for every year, I feel like that becomes more and more important. It was quite fun yesterday, or Sunday when I was sitting in the press conference after the tournament and Annika was there, and just listening to what her foundation actually does for girls all over the world. I haven't really thought about it, even though I think I should have, but I haven't really thought about what the foundation does and how big of their, how big their work is, and what's important to them, and stuff like that. So um, I think it was really cool just hearing some of the numbers, and um, how inspiring it is to hear someone that really has a drive towards making golf a better place for everyone and involving more people, and especially getting younger girls to play.
You mentioned a bit ago about the companies that you've chosen to align yourself with. You want to share with the world who your sponsors are?
Sure. I'm an Adidas athlete, so that's what I wear. I have a little cute logo here. I play ping clubs, and then I'm a Citibank player as
Are you that you've got that the Adidas top on, and you've mentioned fitness multiple times throughout the course of this interview. How much is that a core that's central to your life as well?
very central, I'd say. I've not always, but since turning pro, I think that became a big interest. Like it was a way of um, just clearing my mind after rounds and being able to have a process and set goals up with myself, but not in golf. And so I've been very, um, what do you call it? Like I don't really do what to say, like golf stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't work out just mainly to be a better golfer. I've always seen it as like I just want to be healthy, or it can be like I want to look a certain way. It can be very narcissistic in the gym. So
Yes. Yes. I
I've
understand.
never I've never really used it to have it like as a golf thing. It's just been my clear my mind and other interest.
Well, it is very clear indeed that you are on your way. A huge win this past weekend. You've already got a resume that supports the direction that you are on. We're incredibly excited about what the future holds for you. We wish you the very, very best this week and through the festive period. And Linn, thank you very much for your time. It was great to catch up with you.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.